The following is a presentation of iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Live this evening from the Myrtle Beach Speedway, LSRTV, happy to say good evening sim racing fans and welcome to tonight's CKF Construction 125, this season finale of 2017 Upstate Racing League CKF Construction Super Late Model Series on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. Happy that you're joining us tonight for the 8th race of 8th on this Super Late Model Championship as we welcome you topside into our LSR TV broadcast booth. Evan Pisoko and Austin Cooper topside with you. Downstairs, as always, the lovely and talented Cisco Scaramuza pushing the buttons and bringing us to you this evening. Upstate is a staple marker with us here at LSR TV on Thursdays. Typically, though, a little bit later on in the season. Those late models will be coming back to you for a 4th consecutive year in a couple of months from now. But a little bit of bonus action tonight, Coop. Their Super Late Model Series has been fighting in the midst of a championship for the last few months, and we get to see how it'll all shake out.
Yeah, they get to come to Myrtle Beach Speedway, which is a really fairly new piece of content on the iRacing service. So I'm really excited to see how these guys drive here. I've put a few races on here myself. It's a really tricky track going down in the 1, and then turns 3 and 4 is pretty tight as well. So definitely a lot of drivers are still going to be getting used to the track here tonight. And just based on the fact that it's really new and haven't put these late models here, these really heavy, stocky cars are going to have to do a lot, really paying attention in the first and third corner here tonight, just based on just raw speed and how heavy these things are as they get ready for qualifying.
Yeah, race is going to be getting underway in just a little bit here, but before we get to that point, we're going to be able to take a live look in at qualifying for tonight's race. There's going to be at most 5 groups of 4 drivers at a time. That is, of course, assuming that everybody in the field here tonight wants to qualify. If somebody decides not to and wants to start for the back, and there's tend to be 3 or 4 drivers every single night that don't want to do so, then they're obviously not going to be with that group. So we'll have an opportunity to talk about how this championship picture is going to look as we work into the qualifying session. But again, the race is going to be starting after, obviously, our qualifying takes place. Let's talk about the championship picture, though, as we come into tonight, Austin. As noted, it's the 8th race of 8. Well, a lot happened in the opening 7 races. Most importantly, last week out at Martinsville, Tucker Midster took home the checkered flag, and Al Smith Jr. took home 5th. We're talking about those 2 drivers in specific because they are 1-2 in the championship, and those results from 1 week ago have us at a 3-point battle for the championship into tonight, with Al Smith Jr. on top and Tucker Minter behind in the number 2 position in the championship standings. There is a mathematical chance that James McIntyre Jr. will be able to get this championship, but it's a lot more difficult as we see our first group of drivers out on track. That's a quick rundown of how the championship picture is into tonight.
Here it looks like we're seeing Jacob Porter, who was last on the practice list, with Rudy Widrick and Jay Dubuque. They're all out there doing their qualifying times, and they're doing some group qualifying right here. So I think it's like you said, maximum of 4 drivers, I should say, are going to be out there. Looks like only 3 drivers are out there currently, running some very different lines here tonight. Definitely looking to see what they've got. Looks like Porter is on the board right now with an 18.474, so he's got one of the fastest cars out there right now.
And he actually hit the inside fence that time in quarter number 4 as his lap goes complete that time. Rudy Widrick and Jay Dubuque in that group. Best out of all of them was Jacob Porter with his 18.474. Jay Dubuque second quickest in that group with an 18.589, and then Rudy Widrick slowest with an 18.695. So we are qualifying in reverse order from the positions in which these drivers finished in practice session. So you should expect the times to pick up as qualifying continues. Next group of drivers out on track: Alex Oriens, Mike Holtzclaw, James McIntyre Jr., and Scott Naslund.
Yeah, what's really nice about this reverse order through practice is that the track will continue to get tougher on to drive for the hot lapping guys. If you're not good at hot lapping at any of these tracks, you know, I just on iRacing in general, this can really help those guys with a colder track. They don't have as much rubber on the track. So Porter, Dubuque, and Oriens now. Looks like Holtzclaw now holds the pole right now with a .218, and then Scott Naslund will take him by 2/10, so he'll get the pole right now. But it really allows these guys who can't quite hot lap a small bit of an advantage here.
And you see that Oriens trying to lock up the top spot. He's the slowest out of that group so far, and he's not really going to be able to pick up. So for Naslund, 18.0, as noted, the fastest time we had seen so far. Oriens, though, was not able to pick up slower than a couple of drivers who he was faster than earlier tonight in the practice session. So the next couple of drivers going to go to the track. We start to work our way to the drivers who were just on the cusp of and then inside of the top 10 in practice. Big driver to watch in this group is that 96 of Al Smith Jr., championship leader. Also out there with him, Brian Rogers Jr., Cody Miller, and as well, looks like a couple of other drivers lining up. Looks like the 03 machine of Kyle Charpentier as well.
Yeah, we really got to watch that 99 or 96, I should say, because if he needs to have a really good starting position here. You know, they're running 125 laps, but starting up front can really be a big game changer. Or starting in the back right now, he's 4th on the grid here through this qualifying procedure, and so it's not the best, but it's obviously not the worst. It could be a lot worse. He gets really tight out of turns number 4 right here, and I don't think it's going to be the lap he was looking for, as it does look like he will not improve his time.
And 3 points is not a lot. There's more than that amount of bonus points on the line. So Al Smith Jr. going to get an okay time of an 18.206. That'll put him 6th best. Also in this group, Cody Miller going to go to 4th best with an 18.079. But it is that 03 machine of Charpentier who's going to go to the top of the board. First driver to break the 17-second barrier, down with a 17.986.
Yeah, and I'd say first of many, as a lot of these drivers in practice did hit that. I'd say about 3 drivers hit that, and with the colder track conditions, we're going to see a lot more of it. Justin McDuff now on track with company as well. You can see these drivers making their laps here right now. And then it looks like Gray Files, he's also on the track.
And again, this group of drivers, now you're talking about people up inside of the top 10. These are the guys who were getting those 17.9s as their hot laps in practice. McDuff going to complete his first flying lap at 18.2. Only good enough for mid-pack at about 8th position. Also out there with him, Sean Cool to provisional pole. He goes to P1. You got Gray Files out there. He'll go to P2 on the board. And so you got some speed in this group right here. The 50 machine, Rex Hoyle, he'll go to 4th.
Yeah, Sean Cool made his time better by over half a tenth right there. So it's a big jump here for these guys. Not a whole lot of speed that you can really gain from it being colder, but you can definitely tell with the track changing, is able to get that a little bit of a difference, and goes down the secondary pit road down the back straightaway. But all of them go down the pit road into turn 3.
Justin McDuff, who was out in front of that group and who you would have thought would have been in the best position, is not able to get any better than 12th spot on that one. It does seem like, though, despite the fact that these drivers do get 2 attempts, 2 laps around the racetrack to qualify, that it is the first lap you want to keep an eye on. So here come the fast guys. Tucker Minter, championship challenger on the racetrack right now. Keep an eye on that number 10 machine. He was 4th best in practice. Also out there on track with him, a handful of other drivers. You've got AJ Hamill in the number 18 machine out on the racetrack as well.
Kyle Barnes also had the fastest practice time, so don't forget about that driver is AJ Hamill. He's going to be rounding out turns 3 and 4. We'll see what he has. Tucker Minter actually on the pole right now, and see what AJ Hamill has. He will get no lap that time, actually. It appears he may have scuffed the wall just a little bit, and Barnes completed his time just there, just short of that pole time.
And if he wants to get something, he's going to have to pick up on lap number 2, something that hasn't been happening tonight. Can he beat a 17:9:23? Checkered flag for the 15. No, slows down as expected at 18:0. For the driver who is best in practice, he will get that number 2 spot. And you want to talk about coming in clutch, Tucker Minter, 4th best in practice. We knew he had a good car. He will qualify on pole position for tonight's CKF Construction 125 at Al Smith Jr. mid-pack in P11, which means that when we take the green flag coupe, the live points going to swing immediately in favor of the 10.
Yeah, it's a big deal for Tucker to get that pole position right now, and obviously these drivers are going to try and just run their own race. I'm sure if we ask them how they feel about their current standings, they're just going to tell you, and just going to run the race and try and win the race and try and get out there towards the front, because that's really the only way you can guarantee that you'll win the championship, is by winning the race. Tucker is in the right spot right now. He's in the pole position, going to start these guys off, and then you've got AJ all the way back in, Al, I'm sorry, he's all the way back in 11th, already 10 positions back to start this one. It is an uphill battle for him at this point now that the points have switched, but I think as the race goes on, there's 125 laps, 4 tires, 2 jacks. As I will say, he's got strategy and a lot of racing to do.
And talking about what's going to be on task here for tonight for these drivers, well, they're going to have to tackle this tricky Myrtle Beach Speedway. We saw a couple of incidents during the qualifying, drivers actually getting into the inside fence. It's really tight up against a corner down in turns 3 and 4, and also drivers getting into the outside fence. But let's talk about one of the newest short tracks on the iRacing service. This racetrack is an asphalt D-shaped oval coming in just a little bit over a half mile in length at a 0.538 of a mile, 13 degrees of banking in the corners.
Yeah, this is a really wonky shaped track. If you get on it with any kind of car, especially with these late models, straight stock, any kind of small car on the service, you're gonna notice that this track has a lot of characteristics that make it kind of unique. It's got that sand down in the very bottom of the corners, and as always, it has the dirt up towards the top. It's it's a really unique. It's got the victory lane towards the front. There's a lot of detail on this track that I think they're starting to put into the newer tracks here that we haven't seen with some of the older tracks. Is we're getting a final checkered flag here on the qualifying session, and we're going to go to our grid.
Yeah, so the qualifying in groups has been completed. Out of the 22 possible competitors, looks like 2 drivers who would have had an opportunity to qualify in those groups decided not to. Those will be the last names we mentioned as we go trackside and take a look at tonight's LSRTV starting grid for the CKF Construction 125. So he looks to go back-to-back to close off the season and steal the championship. He'll start from pole, the 17:9:23, good enough to put the 10 Tucker Minter on a pole position. He will be joined by the driver who bested practice, the 15 of Kyle Barnes. Sean Cool going to start in 3rd tonight. Great Files alongside in the number 4 position. Just behind them, driver who had a great pickup from practice to qualify, the 03 of Charpentier.
Right there in 6th place is Rex Hoyle on the outside of row number 3. Brian Rogers Jr. will start in the 7th position. Scott Naslin starts 8th. Cody Miller will start in the 9th position. And James McIntyre Jr., he'll start in that 10th position on the outside of row 5.
Championship leader until the green flag drops. Al Smith Jr. has some work to do. 11th position in qualifying. AJ Hamill with him at row 6 in 12th. Mike Holtzclaw gets tonight's unlucky to be 13th starting position. 14th is a familiar face in Justin Fuller. Behind them, 15th, Justin McDuff.
Jacob Porter starts the grid 16th. JW starts 17th. Alex Orions 18th. Rudy Woodrick starts 19th. Then rounding out the field with the provisionals, Jake Watson, Eric Hagg, and Curtis Martin start 20th, 21st, and 22nd.
And it looks like every driver is on the grid with the exception of that 3 of Porter, who was scheduled to start 16th. He'll start for the pit lane. Everybody else doubled up behind the pace cars. So we go championship racing tonight from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. We're happy that you're with us on LSRTV and iRacing Live. Pace car off and away. Minter in control as he looks to take home the hardware. Coming at a quarter number 4 and waiting on the restart line. Green flag flies and we are underway in tonight's CKF Construction 125. Race leader cleared at quarter 1.
Yeah, it looks like the 64 of Gray Files did not get a good start. He's going to lose a position to the 24 of Sean Cole right off the bat. Didn't even get to the start-finish line at the same time. And on that outside line, sometimes it's hard to judge, but it looks like Tucker Minter, he will hold his line. He will stay there, and looks like these guys are getting single-filed out pretty well. Looks like maybe our first battle still inside the top 10. Looks like the 33 does yield the position. Looks like the 33 of Scott Naslund right there, and they will start to single-file out. Now, the thing is, look at that lead. Starting to get dwindled just a little bit. Barnes is getting pretty close already here on lap number 3.
Yeah, the 10 was able to beat him off at the start-finish line and obviously get the race lead being the control car, but the 15 really didn't let him get away all that much, and they've been really right where they sit here this entire time at about 2 car lengths of a difference between the driver in first and second position. There is a long way to go tonight with 125 laps, and for those who may not tune in with us during the regular winter series, there are some unique rules about this series. There are 4 tires seated in each team's pit box. You could only take on service twice down on pit road as far as tires. So some drivers will tend to try to make a pit stop at a halfway point and go with 4. Other drivers like to split these races up into thirds. A lot of it has to do with when the cautions come out and how that dictates that strategy, but you can decide to use those tires up on either 1 4-tire stop or 2 2-tire stops, and that may be a big factor as the night goes on.
Yeah, I like to think of it as jacks. You know, you can only jack the car up twice in the entire race. If it's the right size twice, or if it's the right side and the left side, or if you want to use the left sides twice. That's kind of the way I like to think of it, because once it's up, it's counted, no matter what for these series. It looks like we've got a good battle right there at the top 5, the 64 of Files, Charpentier, and Hoyle right there. They're getting awfully close, and they're also getting close to those little rumbles there in turns 1 and 2. And as we need to note that if with these late models having such a low clearance, if they even touch those rumbles, they will have some serious suspension damage on this late model. So definitely something to think about.
Yeah, it's not the kind of a rumble strip that you use to come off of, a corner at a road course. Those are essentially there to discourage the drivers from cheating that very thick white line on the inside of the racetrack. They're almost cup-shaped, and it's not going to do any good to the underside of your race car. So, still battling up for the race lead. It may now be the closest it's been all night long with Minter and Barnes. 1-2, that 15 continues to look to the inside. Has the nose that time at a quarter number 1. Top side still going to be too good, so Minter able to defend, but the 15 is on him and starting to try to figure out a way by.
Yeah, he showed the nose down the middle, and they both gave each other some plenty of room. And look at Barnes, he's going to go to the outside, maybe to try a crossover. But wow, look at the entrance he had right there. He's really going for it, and I think right at this point right now, he's going to be very close to getting that position. The outside looks like it might be where it's at in turns 1 and 2, 3 and 4, maybe not so much, but look at him go. He's going to get him on the outside.
New race leader took 11 laps, but Kyle Barnes, fastest in practice, just got nicked for the pole position by that 10, is now in front of the field, and we will see just how much better that 15 is at the moment, depending on how far away he can get from the 10, and if so, how quickly. So Tucker Minter is going to drop a position from the start of this race, but no better news further back in the pack for Al Smith Jr. In fact, he had dropped back to 13th, back 2 from where he started. He just got 1 back, so he's up to the number 12 spot, but still, he cannot afford to finish any more than 3 positions behind Minter, and that's excluding bonus points, Scoop. It's not as simple as you got to beat it by 3 positions. If your Minter bonus points are going to be big, every single position on the racetrack at the end of the race is 1 point, but there are bonus points. You lead a lap, that's a bonus point. If you go the whole race within an incident point, that's a bonus point. If you lead the most laps, that's a bonus point. And if you're the winner, That's a bonus point. 4 points on the line. Max could be the decision maker.
Yeah, now Smith Jr. just needs to, get up there. But it could be the fact that he knows he started kind of back in the pack, and knowing that he was going to be back there, he could be saving his tires quite a bit too. It's a long race, 125. We know these guys to typically do 100 lap races, so to do 125 lap race, I'm going to be guessing that with that extra distance, these other guys may be pushing their cars a little bit more than typical for the distance that they're allotted, and so maybe Al Smith is going to be trying some strategy here, saving those tires. I saw him go wide a few times. Now he's going to start working on the O2 with Cody Miller here going to turns 3 and 4, but he's definitely not slouching over. But we do have a caution here at Myrtle Beach Speedway.
And it's issues with the 9 machine. Alex Oriens is turned around on the back straightaway. He'll bring it a caution at lap number 17. And it will slow things down for the first time tonight for what looks like nothing more than a single car accident. Remember those bumps on the inside of the racetrack that we were telling you about? Well, the 9 got a little bit too comfortable with them. And as you'll see on the second look, drives that car down onto those rumble strips, if you want to call them that. It lifts the right side off of the car just straight up in the air, and it upsets the machine, and it spun out right out of turn 2. Once he hit him as hard as he did, basically square, hit about 3 or 4 of those bumps on the exit of the corner, there was no doubt that that car was going to get really unhappy.
Yeah, and sometimes you can get away with it, but with the way these supers operate, they're going so fast, and they are a little bit light there in the left rear, so definitely something that once you're committed, it's going to be hard. And so the 9 looks like he's going to come down pit road. Didn't hit anything, actually. That was very surprising. He did a very good job of locking that car down. So nothing, no damage on the 9. I'm sure maybe he's going to come down and maybe take tires or damage of some sort. I'm not sure exactly what is going to be the service call on the 9. But another thing to note is Jacob Porter, who started from the pits, he's going to get that lap back, so he will start to compete.
Looks like Oriens on the pit lane is going to go with right side tires, maybe thinking that as he obviously is going to drop to the back of the pack for bringing out the caution, that he's going to need some help. He'll go with 04 though of those tires, so the right and the left side of the 9 go up. So that's all he's got. Fresh Hoosier Racing tires on board. He cannot come back down for any more tires for the rest of the night, and it's a drag race off of pit road as he tries to beat the pace car to the exit, and I don't think he did it, so he's going to get stuck a lap down.
And he just crossed the cone too, so kind of a double negative here. He's going to have to wait till all these guys pass him, be a lap down. It's kind of a bummer there for the 9 to have done that. He might be able to still salvage it as he can, be real lax here, but can't be too lax because that pace with the leaders is really fast. It's really blazing, so unsure of how the rebound's going to be with him taking those 4 tires, but yeah, he's going to have to be stuck here.
Takes our race leaders 41 seconds under the caution flag to do a pace lap of this Myrtle Beach Speedway, and I think the problem for him was not that it took that long to get the tires changed, but because he spun, so he was behind the group and he didn't catch back up before he pitted. I think he brought that car right down and already put him at a little bit of a negative, and of course decided to go with all 4. So we'll see if he's going to be able to get back into this thing, but we have a restart due up. Kyle Barnes, race leader, takes the outside line for this one. 22 laps going to be complete tonight so far from Myrtle Beach. Green flag flies back underway, and the 15 is checked out.
He gets a good launch and is already on that first line, and you got Sean Cool and Greg Piles. They're really close, and look at the 64 on the outside. He's going to try and go for another one side by side with Tucker right there in the corner, and he's going a little bit wide, but that outside's really hooked up at this place, and I'd say that he's going to have a little bit of advantage going into the corner here, and 10 goes up a little bit, but they're still side by side. I think the 64 is going to have an advantage here. He may just clear him, not quite, but there's a big caution, so he's going to get that position here in turns 3 and 4.
He lucks out as there is a mess on the back straightaway. Scott Naslin has a really beat up number 33 machine, and this one much more of an accident than what we saw last time. It all starts, looks like going off at a corner number 1. The 33 gets tagged by the 06, gets all kinds of out of shape, ends up inside of those rumble strips, come back out on the racetrack, and then started to self-spin, exactly like what we saw in the earlier accident there with AJ Hamel. The 33 was sideways in front of the 02. He got tagged, and unfortunately a lot of drivers got collected in that one. Cody Miller, Mike Holtzclaw, Eric Hagg, some of the names with damage.
Yeah, and then you also have the 22 of AJ Hamel, who did get a little bit of damage in there as well. So, well, yeah, it looks like he got quite a bit of left front damage right there. So, actually, it looks like he got scot-free, got him mixed up with somebody. So, not a big deal right there. But, yeah, a lot of drivers right here got a lot of damage. And that 9 car right there we just talked about of Alex Oriens, who may, maybe in the thick of it, he's going to get that lap back, but he was almost in that one as well.
Looks like Brian Rogers Jr. is going to bring his Mountain Dew Toyota down to the pit lane. He will relinquish 8th position to come down and get service. But Gray Files is going to be able to get P2 out of that exchange in the Spotify entry. He hadn't completed the pass, and I think that Minter was going to give him a good run for his money into the corner, although I believe we were pretty much in agreement that the outside is going to be the best place to be when you try to clear somebody, and that's what the 64 had. But caution came out as they were side by side, so that's how that's going to be negotiated. So Files is going to be given the outside of row 1 for the restart, and Minter, who started on pole, started up front for the first one, started second for the first restart, and he'll find himself third for the next one, but still in a relatively good position. Things are starting to get a lot more interesting now, though, because Minter falling to third, Al Smith Jr. up to a race high P8, means that they are within about 3 points of each other right now, with the advantage in favor of the 10 due to a bonus point for leading a lap.
Yeah, it's getting really close here with these drivers kind of carving their way through the field, and Tucker just losing a couple positions here, since the start, which could be a good or a bad thing, depending what you think of it. He's able to really let the tires, like all the other drivers, really cool off, and I haven't really felt the urge for him to fight for those positions, at least right now. They're on lap 29, and they still got a ways to go, and not even close to halfway right now. And so looking at the 10, I think he's still in a good position. I think he's aware of the fact that the 96 is coming, but I don't really see a sense of urgency, at least right now, to really save those positions.
This restart going to come with 96 laps to go. Fair amount of time still to get things figured out. So Kyle Barnes is looking to take off once again, and he does. Chose the inside for this restart. He leaves a good battle for second. Behind him, Minter is going to take it right back for the 64 of Files. He finds himself now fighting just to hang on to third.
Yeah, he went really high in the corner where no one had really been, and I assume there's probably some marbles up there that he had found, and I just got a little tight. Got on those tires. He gets a little tap from the 03 in the inside. That's Charpentier right there, and he's going to get him really out of shape. He's going to lose a lot of positions, and they're stacking it up behind him. One of the biggest winners of that is Al Smith Jr. He gets around the outside of all that mess, and yeah, there's a lot of racing going on, but wow, that could have been a lot worse.
It was a nice piece of driving by the 64 to not rack it, and I think Charpentier just got a little bit hot into the corner, pushed up just maybe half a foot, but it tagged him, and Files falls back to 6th position. So Minter back in a number 2 spot. The driver who was really putting it to him, Files, has followed back, so let's see if he could maybe challenge once again for the race lead. In the meantime, battle is on for 4th. And it's going to be Jake Watson on the 24. Sean Cool got him. The 24 almost looked like he overthought that one much out of turn number 2. He looked like he might have had enough of a run to get to the outside of the 88 off of the quarter. Backed it off. Looked like he went for a crossover. Didn't work. Nonetheless, he takes the drop in the positions, falls back to 5th. And how about a tip of the cap to that 88 machine? Started 20th. He's running P4.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. He's really made his way through the field, and he didn't make a practice time, nor did he make a qualifying time. Just kind of got here at the end of all the, pre-race festivities. Came to drive, though. That's for darn sure. Already in the top 5, is making a big statement that he's going to be here. Caution flag is going to halt the racing action for now, and I believe it's going to be in turn 3, car around.
Justin Fuller from inside of the top 10. Big issues for one of the bigger names in this series, was making up for a disappointing qualifying effort in 14th spot. And that was just a self-inflicted error all by himself. Got into the outside wall at a corner number 2, and he was completing a pass on the 96. So he entered the corner very low, didn't have the arc that he really needed, I think, to get back to the gas that soon. And then that car struggled to maintain traction all the way down the back straightaway until he spun it out and took a pretty good lick to the left-hand side.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things to note is that's the second time that Al Smith Jr., points leader before the race started, has been around both big accidents. I'd say that whenever the 51 was spinning out, he was definitely thinking, I could accidentally end this driver's championship night. So I'm knowing the way the 51 drives, it was probably at least a thought going into that. Looks like the 24 of Sean Cool is going to come down pit road. So first of many to come, I'm sure, soon. It looks like the number 24, he's going to be one of the first comers. There's going to be a couple other drivers coming down as well. Looks like we got the number 20, Justin McDuff. He has heavy damage from earlier. He may just be coming down for damage. It looks like we also got the 05 of James McIntyre Jr. And he doesn't really appear to have damage, so he might be coming in for service.
And we have seen a decent amount of drivers on and off of the pit lane so far, with some drivers going with their 4 tires right off of the bat, and some of them deciding to go with those limited tires so far to this point. But seeing the number 24 Deshaun Cool pit from what was 5th position, maybe I think the highest active running position by somebody who has come down to the pit lane so far to this point tonight. That's going to put him back into the middle of the field. He'll be back there with the likes of the 12 of Brad Rogers Jr., who somebody else who started inside of the top 10 and who has fallen back just a little bit. But Al Smith Jr. now up to P6, the highest he's been to this point. Tucker Minter in the number 2 position now, running just 4 positions in front of Al Smith, which I believe would be about 2 points in the live championship standings. Again, the difference was 3 spots in favor of Smith into tonight, but a bonus point in favor of Minter for leading a lap has him sitting up by 2, I think, as they run right now.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that Al Smith needs to think about, or at least if he's talking to anybody, really, is just the fact that he does have that 1 extra bonus point. If it does come to the end, he's got to really get by him. I think that's the best way to think about it. If you're in the 96, if you're in front of him, you at least know you've got the championship where you're tying. If all the points come across, at least actually he'd be ahead still. So 96 knows that that's in the pocket, but still has a lot of racing left to do.
And the next step towards working our way towards the end right now. Green flag flies, another great restart for Kyle Barnes as he looks to really just take a stranglehold on how this race works out. Side by side second and side by side for 4th. The battle for P2. Minter on the outside of the racetrack, almost clear of the 03 Charpentier. One last ditch effort, not going to work. 10 machine gets that spot, so they single file out in the top 4. Watson won that battle. Look at the 96 though. Al Smith Jr. thought about making it 3 wide as he continues to charge towards the front. He'll go for P5.
Yeah, I don't think he was expecting the 2 in front to still be side by side. The 64 kind of dove it to the inside, and the 88 had already committed to go down to the bottom. Definitely not that either driver was trying to force an issue, but I think it was one of just a racing deal between that. But now Al Smith, he gets another position. Another caution also comes out. This is really helping that number 96. There's big trouble in the back.
Brad Rogers Jr. has come to a stop, so I have to imagine the 12 was involved in this one, and he was. We'll get a second look. Down in corners 1 and 2, kind of a tough call on this one. Rogers on the inside, Holtzclaw on the outside, and you can see with those white hash marks that the 22 dipped down a little bit in the center of the quarter, but I think it was mainly the 12 for Rogers pushing up just the slightest bit, hooks the 22, and then the problem after was that Holtzclaw tried to correct to that car being sideways, hit the fence, snapped right back down, took a good hit to the 9 of Alex Orions, and that basically totaled his car as he brings it smoking down the pit road.
Yeah, I'd say if he had locked it down, and sometimes as a driver you've got that instinct to just bring it back together and just keep going if you can. But it's just a slight bit of overcorrecting, definitely end of the night, and we may see a lot of drivers come down. Looks like they had all looked to come down pit road, but no one coming down pit road at this moment. The 20 will come down for more service. It looks like he's trying to get all that damage fixed up, trying to wheel it like Christopher Bell yesterday with all that damage on the car. He's still doing pretty well for being in that number 20. He's still inside the top 10 when he came down pit road. So a lot of damaged vehicles out here, Evan, and it looks like for at least the back half of the field, it's survival of the fittest, or really kind of whoever's going to be able to make it out.
And in a regular race distance in this series at 100 laps, we'd be really close to the halfway point. Not all that far off of it, though, just a little bit further, as noted with these playoff races towards the end of the season, having a little bit extra distance. 125 laps total on the board tonight so far, working lap number 46. Coverage of tonight's Upstate Racing League CKF Construction Super Late Model Series race from the Myrtle Beach Speedway is brought to you by CKF Construction, your one-stop shop for all your building needs, from new builds to remodels. They've got you covered and are fully insured. Also title sponsor on the CKF Construction Super Late Model Series, part of our CKF Construction 125, and happy that they're a part of having this series with us tonight on LSRTV at iRacing Live. While we're chatting, want to let you know that if you want to race here on LSRTV this fall in the Upstate Racing League, sign-ups for the Fall Approval Series are now open. If you're new to iRacing and have not run in the CKF Construction Pro Late Model Series before, you have to make an attempt to qualify by running in the Approval Series. It's comprised of 7 races between August and September. If you want to give it a shot, go to upstateracingleague.com for more information. You can find yourself right here on LSRTV and iRacing Live in just a couple of months. So I highly encourage, if you're into short track racing and you're on the service, to make that happen again at upstateracingleague.com. Pace car off at
I think he can to be up front. We'll just have to see how these strategies play out as Smith, McIntyre, and Cool, your top 3.
Restart, going to complete 66 laps. Underway, and he is gone. Well out in for James McIntyre Jr. Sean Cool in third under attack. First driver on fresh tires. Kyle Barnes is fast on the bottom.
Oh yeah, and there's a huge stack up on the outside line as well, and the 10 was a part of that. He may have some front end damage as well, so something to note. But the fact that these super late models are not very keen to front end damage. They do tend to have engine expirations if they get enough front end damage. Look at Barnes. He's going to work. He's already down up to third place, going on second and on that inside line, which is not the preferred one it seems, but looks like he's going to get that second position here in turns number 1. Set his sights on Al Smith Jr. and look at behind him. Cool is going to get inside of the 03 right there at Charpentier, and he's going to have to let him go right there out of 2.
Oh, the 24 sent him into the corner. Caution is out, and Tucker Minter got a piece of it.
Oh, he got a lot more than a piece of it. He actually turned somebody shortly after that as well. Looked like the 04.
It all started, the 03 and the 24. We watched the battle. The 24 pushed up, got into the 03, had the check up and let him go. And I don't know if the 24 was trying to move him out of the way to deliver a message, or if he was trying to stay on the inside and the 03 was cutting it close to come down, but they made contact. It sent the 03 around. It could have been a lot worse for that Minter, but he got up into the outside fence, then came back down and tagged the 04, and that got that Tenda machine torn up. He was just on pit road for tires, so he wants to avoid coming back down to get damage repaired as much as possible, because it would take away his tire advantage. I feel like this would be a good opportunity for Smith to come down pit road, but he stays out.
Yeah, this is what the moment I was talking about for some of these drivers to, take that opportunity. It's only a few laps, but you've got Barnes behind you, who's probably going to make that pass pretty soon. I mean, a few lap tires versus 60+ lap tires. It's definitely, I think, going to be no contest, no thought that the 96 is going to have to yield that position. But knowing that the number 10 did just get an accident and has a lot more front end damage than he had on that restart, that might be a big deal too. But he is going to be starting in 4th still. He's going to be able to he's going to be able to keep that position since he never did spin out. be that as it may, the 10 is still there, and he still might have a shot with those newer tires. And I think with the 96, that was the opportunity to come down pit road. I think maybe now it's now or it was an now or never thing, but now it's kind of you come down now, you're going to lose a lot of track position. You're going all the way back to outside the top 10, which is 13th.
Yeah, 13 drivers on the lead lap at this moment, but the big thing out of that is Minter, as you said, is going to be able to keep his track position. So he runs fourth. Al Smith Jr. runs in the race lead. And as we were aside trying to get some electrical issues fixed, and apologize about the delay, but back with you here live from the Myrtle Beach Speedway. Al Smith Jr. had stayed out to get to the race lead. So now both of our top two in the championship have a bonus point. So the difference goes back to 3 in favor of Al Smith. He's in front by 4 positions at the moment, so they run right now 6 or 7 points apart in the standings. But we can't forget about McIntyre, and he does need some help. 13 drivers, now 12 drivers on the lead lap. He came into tonight 13 points off of the top spot, so the 96 has to have some big problems, and so does the 10, and it's got to happen quickly. But he is still technically a part of this championship fight. He'll be right there in the mix as well inside row 2.
Yeah, if anything happens with these guys, it's going to be a nice little heyday. So all 3 drivers right there, McIntyre, Minter, and then Al Smith right there in the lead. So all of them in top 4 with Barnes kind of mixed in the middle of that.
Restart, 74 laps complete, 51 to go in the championship. And a 96 again, picture perfect on the bottom, but he's got fresh tires behind him. What can Kyle Barnes do? Right off at about a car length and a half in turn 2.
And you can tell the difference between the angle that the 15 goes in the corner and all these other drivers. It looks like the 15's really found something here. And I don't know if the 96 meant to leave that room open, but definitely open the door for the 15 to go on the bottom, maybe to make it quick and painless. So that's going to be a change for the lead, and that's to be expected here.
And guys, we got issues with the 10. Tucker Minter is slow, and he's stuck up on the outside of the racetrack. I was looking for him to start to catch up as well on those fresh tires, but that damage is obviously really hurting the 10. Really high that time at corner 1. He's lost almost 4 spots off of the restart. If he can get one back for the 0-2 with Cody Miller this time, they fight for 7th.
Yeah, and look at them go side by side there just for a little bit, and still side by side, Miller and Minter right there. Minter's going really high up the track, perhaps to maybe search for some speed. He's fallen off quite a bit, and it really is kind of a bummer right here for the 8 to be involved in that accident. And now is kind of just keep on trying. That car in front of him got in the wall just a little bit. That's 0-2 of Cody Miller, and looks like he's going to keep going, but he's a long way off the lead right now, which is 3.4 seconds, and then Al Smith Jr. is not too far off. So you can actually see down the back straightaway that the 10's actually had a lots of speed, it looks like, just going down the straightaway. So I'm not sure if that engine's going to be able to keep it much longer with the fact that it does look slow.
Right, and this is why I thought that Al Smith Jr. should have pitted on this stop, because if we get another yellow, the 10 has lost enough track position now that it wouldn't be detrimental to him to come down pit road and get some of that repairs, those optional repairs that we assume he has fixed. So if the 96 had pitted this lap, he'd probably already, or rather this most recent caution, he probably would have already passed him by now. But if the caution comes out and they both end up on pit road, they'll be racing side by side around each other. Despite the fact that the 10 is hurting, he's showing no signs of wanting to give up. A little bit of door banging. But the 03 of Charpentier in the battle for 8th, but the 03 is going to get that. Here comes the 64 of Gray Files as it goes from bad to worst for our championship hopeful.
Yeah, and he's just, there's nothing you can do when you're in this position. It's trying to go hard in the corners and hard on the exit. There's only so much you can do. Once you get that much damage, it's you can only really drive the car at that point. You can't really drive the way you want to, and it's not aerodynamically. There's definitely some right front suspension and probably some engine damage in that thing. So maybe he can hope for something to happen to Al Smith Jr. Maybe, a mechanical failure. None of these guys want something bad to happen to the driver. But sometimes when you're in the position, anything would be nice to have, like a gift or something like that. Being in 10th place is definitely not where the number 10 wanted to be at this point, and he probably won't gain any positions unless a big caution comes out at any point.
We're starting to see the adverse effects of the 96 on old tires. Again, he could just go to the end of this race without stopping, to be fair. He doesn't have to come down to the pit lane. There's only 40 laps to go, but you can see the drivers who have taken tires are getting faster. Not only has Kyle Barnes pulled away by 2 seconds, Al Smith over the radio that time, telling Jake Watson in the 88 and the 50 Rex Oil to go to the inside and get around him. So, smart move. He knows that he has points in his favor to play with, so he's going to let these guys go, get out of their way to avoid any sort of tricky situations.
Oh, look at the driver behind him, the number 3 of Jacob Porter. He's in 5th place right now. Started from the pits, got that lucky dog earlier on, and he's battling on the inside of the 96, who bails out of that one right there. And 3 is really souped up. He did not have a very good practice time, did not have a very good qualifying time, and, well, it matters what's in the race sometimes, and that 3 has a really good long-term setup going. Oh, looks like he's going up the track, and I didn't mean setup, I just meant the mentality through these races, but that 3 car just went a little too high in the corner, and looked like the 2 in front of him are also battling bumper to bumper.
Yeah, it's a good fight amongst the 3 machine and the 96. You've got the battle for second. Watson, Hoyle. Hoyle looking to the inside. The more they fight, the further Barnes gets away because he's added a second on his gap back to second place in the last 3 laps around the racetrack. So the 15 smooth sailing. I like the call. Pitting at the halfway point to go 4 tires at the same time. He is by far and large the fastest driver on the racetrack next time around with 35 laps to go. He's hoping there's no other issues that would cause another restart.
You know, interesting enough, the fastest car the last lap before the one we're on was actually Jacob Porter. So I know those 2 are very close lately, and they've been talking setup being the fact they're both from the Championship Esports Association that we see on the Wednesday alternating Wednesday nights, and definitely see that they are running similar lines as well. So I'm definitely seeing that with the 3 and the 15 here at Myrtle Beach.
Just monitoring the situation with the 10 of Minter. He is 10 seconds off for the race lead. If we go green to the end, he may end up a lap down. Live points as Al Smith Jr. runs in 5th and Tucker Minter runs in 10th. It is an 8-point advantage for Al Smith in the CKF Construction Super Late Model Series Championship standings. That's the picture inside of 40 laps to go. I'm looking for Watson to start to make up time. Hoyle, somebody to start to work their way up to the race leader. So far, though, doesn't look like anybody's got anything.
Yeah, these guys are really fighting hard, and I don't think they're going to be able to get to Barnes if they continue to fight that way or a caution comes out. Getting close to 25 laps to go, 30 next time by, and got to imagine with the way they're racing, and he's going to hit him. And it doesn't quite spin him out. It definitely gets on the brake, and Porter, he might get a twofer right here. He's going to get by the 50. He might get by the 88 here. Looks like he's almost cleared him. Wow. Things change really fast there in turns number 2.
Listen, sometimes if the cars in front of you just get moved out of your way, there's no reason to politely object. Take the spot. So Jacob Porter, just like that, basically gifted the number 2 position. The last time by, 0.4 of a second slower than race leader Kyle Barnes. But if he's got anything to challenge our race leader, now's the time to show it. Clean air between you and the guy up front, traffic behind you that you're pulling away from.
Yeah, seeing the replay right there of what happened exactly. And like you said, the 3 just took advantage of what was in front of them. Sometimes you take advantage of an opportunity. And looking at the lap times between Barnes and Porter, it's been a long time since I've seen those 2 fight for position. And I know they're not up close to each other, but it's definitely, for me at least, that definitely brings back memories from a few years ago, these 2 fighting in the old Championship Esports Association. So their lap times for the 3 are starting to actually come down a little bit as the guys behind him, their lap times are coming up. So the 3, with his own clean air, may not be as fast as he was behind him. There's a lot of cars behind him too. There's about 4 cars hunting down that second position right there.
Yeah, this is a great fight. The leader's 5 seconds off, but it's almost a 5-way battle because McIntyre's trying to get a part of it. It's Porter, Watson, Hoyle, Smith, and Smith spins. The 96 is spun out. Caution flag is out.
Wow. Oh,
The
no.
one thing that you could not afford to do as you were in the green was a self-spin, and Al Smith Jr. lost it at a quarter two with 25 laps to go, and this is a completely new ball game.
You think he's going to get tires here, Evan?
If he's got him, now's the time to take it. I'll tell you what. Minter, I would expect he'd be down too to try to get that car fixed. They're both basically dead last on the lead lap.
Yeah, well, there's not very many cars on the lead lap. You've got to go at this point. The 10's got to get that fixed. 96, this is the lap he's going to be able to come down. They just caught the pace car, so interesting to see if the 96, he looks to the left. It does look like he might come down and take him. He's got him, and so I'd be surprised if he doesn't. So he does come down pit road, and the 10's right behind him. So both of our championship guys right there. And McIntyre Jr. was hoping that might have been a little bit worse so he could capitalize it. Only thing is there's only 12 cars in the lead lap, so it's not like he would be able to win, but he might be able to get Minter after this one's over.
So who would have thought that 5 laps ago we would see Al Smith Jr. on to pit road with Tucker Minter, the 96, down for service. He had the tire disadvantage on that run. Now he's forced into a position he did not want to be in. Right side tires going on. Left side's going to go on as well. He will take all 4 at the same time. Meanwhile, Tucker Minter doesn't have the option of tires. Pitted earlier for them, but was involved in an accident almost immediately after that. So he's down pit road to try to get that car fixed. So as bad as this is for Al Smith Jr. and the 10 beats him out of pit lane, the 96 will have a significant tire advantage.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the biggest thing. Then they'll be in the same row, it looks like, as well. Looks like Minter will be on the inside, and then Al Smith will be on the outside. So they'll be, or no, they'll actually, Minter will be on the row in front of them, but they'll still be really close to each other. And looks like Al Smith will be on the inside, which isn't really the preferred. But with those brand new tires, you've got to assume that that's going to be the way to go here as they get closer and closer to perhaps the final restart. Kyle Barnes, Porter, and Watson. I think those 3 have way completely different stories, especially those 2 coming from the back, the number 3 and 88 here.
The 15 is in a good position to lock this thing up. If any of those drivers who are fighting for second have something, this may be your last chance to show it. 20 lap to go restart for Myrtle Beach as Barnes looks to lock up what has been a spectacular performance. But in all honesty, the bigger story, Tucker Minter is 10th. Al Smith Jr. is 11th. The live championship standings are just 2 points in favor of Smith way in the back there. Watch the restart though at a quarter number 4. Barnes holds him back to the last second. Green flag flies with 20 to go.
Yeah, it looks like they're getting really hard there in the first corner. Oh, wow, a little bit of smoke between the 06 and the 64. They keep it straight. Barnes gets a really good head of steam going into turns number 3, and he will have really it hooked up, and he has about 3 car lengths between himself and Porter. And Porter, he has a real big mirror full of some hungry drivers that he got by earlier just because of circumstance. He's going to try and have to prove that he got there, and he can help, and he can keep up the speed.
Battle for the championship is back in 8th position. Tucker Minter picked up a spot off for the restart to go up to 8th, but there's the 96. As they run right now, because the 02 is in between them, it is 1 point in the championship, and tight with the 10 of the 02. Really tight call that time. No intentions to back it off is Cody Miller.
No, and I don't think he realizes that maybe both those championship drivers are right there, and definitely backs up now. And look at him go to the inside. He's going to give him a door slam going into turns number 1 and 2, and that might be all she said. 10's going to come back and try and rally, maybe be there. He's too far off, though. He's not going to be able to have anything to say, so Al Smith now back in the lead.
And I don't think that even if that 10 wants to... Yeah, I got the fence there. Again, you can't... He spun out on a self-inflicted error. Self-spin in turn 2. You just got to keep the car on track. If you don't make a mistake, I don't think Minter can even get back to you. So take it easy. Don't give him the opportunity. You're 4 points in front now that you're a spot in front of him.
Gosh, if I could be on the radio with the 96, I'd just be saying... just run your line, and he's in a lot of space to do just that. He's all by himself. The number 10's falling off a bit, and he's got a ways to sharpen tier, so there's a lot of action happening in front of him, but he's got a lot of clean air. If he just holds it steady, he's only got about 15 or so laps to go. It's getting close to the end. He just needs to make it there.
And there's some good fighting for position inside of the top 5. The 64 machine on the outside of Gary Files trying to get around the 50 of Rex Hoyle. That one is a fight for 4th on the racetrack. And how about 2nd in front of him? Watson trying to get to the inside of Jacob Porter. So we've got the gang back together again. This group was fighting real tight on each other before the caution. And Kyle Barnes is checked out, so they're still scrapping amongst themselves for 2nd through 5th.
Watson gave Porter a humongous shot into turn 3, and I'm surprised that didn't spin him out. Hit him very square, so perhaps the 88 knows exactly what he's doing, but 3 is doing nothing wrong, taking it easy in the corner and having a really good shot on the outside or on the exit of the corners. You can tell that he really just goes hard on the exits, which is it's hard to pass someone when you can't get them on the entrance, and then when they go to the exit, they're just a lot faster, and you can see the difference there. The 3 just has so much more power, and the 88 and the 64 might be doing battle, which is the best thing for the number 3 right here. And Barnes is out by 2 seconds. It's almost an impossibility for any of these guys to really catch him unless he makes a mistake. And knowing the composure that the number 15 typically has when he's in this position, it's just going to be clear sailing 10 laps to go.
Highly unlikely, but not impossible. So that's really all you got to hold on to if you're Jacob Porter. You'd like the P2, but you're coming to the end of the season. It would be really nice to go out in these super late models with a checkered flag. Update on Al Smith Jr. He is now in the fray. He has passed 2 drivers since he was in the 8th spot. He's gotten around Carpentier and McIntyre. So he's in 6th, still racing, and in this group of what has been a very aggressive battle for position. That's not a fun place to be.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering why he's fighting so hard. Maybe he just wants to go out there and prove that he can, still get as many positions when it's all over. Or perhaps he's not even worried about it and just wants to keep running his super hard.
Oh, he got hit! OC's hit him!
This is,
that's why I don't want to be there. I'd get out of there.
Yeah, I'm the 90. If I was 96, I'd just keep riding 5, 6, 7 more laps. Just get it around here. I'm really getting worried here.
And with Minter in 9th, he could really finish 11th and still win the championship by 1 point, based on that 3-point advantage that he had into tonight. Nonetheless, next time by for race leader Kyle Barnes. 5 laps to go from the Myrtle Beach Speedway. So if a caution comes out from that point on, this race will end under the yellow. So for the 15, don't make a mistake. If you're the 96, don't get junked.
Yeah, no doubt for either of them. Don't have any issues for both those two. I think they've got plenty of room to really make. It looks like the battles inside the top 5 have kind of ceased. I think the 88 is still really fast. He's faster than Porter by about a 10th per lap. And seeing them come out of turns number 4, the 88's really got turn number 4 souped up. But looks like the 3 has 1 and 2 kind of down, and he's getting really close to that bumper. You can see that the 3's got the exit speed. He's going to get tight. He's going to have to get out of the gas. The 88's right there. This might be one of the battles to watch before this race is over. 88's still right there on his bumper, not letting him get out of sight.
And you have to wonder, based on some of the contact we've seen tonight, do you go for the bump and run?
Yes,
Left rear quarter panel, took a shot. Doesn't get it that time. He's got to be careful, though, because here comes Files from behind in the number 4 spot. 2 laps to go that time by for Kyle Barnes. He's going to be almost 4 seconds in front of Porter, Watson, and Files, who battle for the number 2 step on the podium. The 88 trying to go for it again to the back bumper of the 3. Still not on the inside. He looks again. White flag at a turn number 4 for Kyle Barnes. He dominates this race, and while he just missed out on pole position, it took him no time to get up front early. He'll head to 3 and 4 for the final time and close out the super lates in victory lane. Checkered flag, Kyle Barnes winner from the Myrtle Beach Speedway in the battle for 2nd. No changes late. Porter, Watson, and Files, and coming across the start finish line in 6th position, Al Smith Jr. will lock up his CKF Construction Super Late Model Series Championship.
Yeah, that was a great fight with all those guys in there. And Al Smith, he just shy of a top 5, gets that championship, gets the hardware. But I'll tell you what, if you go watch those last 3 or 4 laps between Porter and Watson, I'm unsure how Porter was able to hold on to that thing. He literally was hit the last out of the last few laps. He was hit like at least 2 or 3 times, and hard at that, not an easy hit. So definitely a big shout out for him to keep the car straight. But at the end of the day, Barnes gets the victory, and Al Smith Jr. gets the title.
And of course, it's unofficial, but at 96 burning it down, Al Smith Jr. All he had to do, if you take the bonus points aside, was not lose to Tucker Minter by 3 positions or more. He beat him by 3. So Minter put on the pressure late in this championship. A win 1 week ago from Martinsville made it as close as it was into tonight. And you have to wonder, Coop, what this race would have been if Minter didn't get collected in that accident towards the halfway point.
Yeah, and I think when you're in that position, you feel so helpless. But I guess that's what they say. You know, sometimes it's racing. When you've got a championship, it's not just between you and that other guy. You've got to race everybody else too. And whenever they want to race, you know, hard, and you're behind them, you've got to make the decision of whether to be a part of it or not. And though I wouldn't say it's his fault in any sort of way, but it does. Whenever the guys in front of you are racing as hard as they are, and you get caught up in it, I'd say it's one of those racing deals, and it's sad that he can't do anything about it. But still, I think finishes second here in the points. Definitely not what he was after, but made a valiant effort last week to close the gap, and just had a little bit of misfortune this week.
And on top of all of those storylines, Kyle Barnes has parked his number 15 Toyota in victory lane because he's your winner in tonight's CKF Construction 125. An impressive performance for the driver out of the Championship Esports Association. So not only are we going to be going to Championship Victory Lane, but we'll also be talking with your race winner tonight from the Myrtle Beach Speedway in just a moment. So we'll step aside. The post-race show is next. You're watching LSRTV's coverage of the 2017 Upstate Racing League CKF Construction Super Late Model Series on iRacing Live. Victory Lane when we come back.
Hi guys, I'm Scott Speed, driver of this amazing Volkswagen Beetle GRC car. I got good news for the iRacing fam. We got this coming in. I'm currently working on it myself personally to make sure that it is as accurate as possible. With the addition of dirt and now this mean car, it is gonna be so fun. And it's gonna be available free to all the iRacing members. Personally, I can't wait to get out there and race you guys on it.
Welcome back live to the Myrtle Beach Speedway for the LSRTV post-race show following the conclusion of this 2017 Upstate Racing League CKF Construction Super Late Model Series. Tonight, your winner in the CKF Construction 125 is Kyle Barnes. He is trackside with us in just a moment. First, we take a look top to bottom at tonight's full race results from Myrtle Beach Speedway. So Barnes gets the win in convincing fashion despite a late race caution. 4.7 seconds was plenty to come home in front of Jacob Porter, who finishes P2, who also we will be catching a word with in a moment. A tip of the cap, we noted it earlier, Jake Watson had a great night. No time at practice, provisional and qualifying. It started way back in 20th position. He's able to claw through and get a third. When this night's all said and done, you got Gray Files behind him, exactly where he started, who comes home at fourth, and Rex Hoyle rounding out our top five. Championship driver Al Smith Jr. takes the title. We'll also be chatting with him. His P6 finish was good enough to get the job done tonight. Also behind him, you got the driver of the 03 machine, Charpentier, in seventh. James McIntyre Jr., a long shot, he'll get third in the title fight. Eighth place tonight, pole sitter, and second in the title. When it all comes down to it, Tucker Minter has to walk away with a ninth placed machine after getting damaged in an accident at the halfway point. Just behind them, second to last driver on the lead lap, and rounding out our top 10 is Cody Miller.
Last driver finishing on the lead lap, Jay Dubuque finishes in the 11th position. Brady Widrick finishes 12th, one lap down, and the long list of drivers who had multiple accidents. Alex Oriens finishes 13th. Sean Cool had a good qualifying run, and despite that, has to finish 14th. Curtis Martin finishes in the 15th position, with Justin McDuff finishing 16th. Mike Holtzclaw finishes in the 17th position. Ryan Rogers Jr. finishes 18th. Justin Fuller will finish the night 19th. AJ Hamill finished 20th. Eric Hagg 21st, and then Scott Naslin ended the day early, finishing 22nd. That's been a look at your rundown here. I'm going to send it back to Evan, who will be catching up with Kyle Barnes.
No doubt about it, convincing fashion, whatever you want to say. It was a great night for the driver of the number 15 machine. Kyle Barnes is your winner in tonight's CKF Construction 125, as we are trackside with the driver of the 15. Kyle, congratulations. I know that maybe it would have looked a little bit prettier on the stat sheet if you were able to get pole and sweep tonight, because you had the best car in practice, the best car in the race, just missed pole by a couple of tenths, but you didn't really let that get you down very quickly. Kept the pressure on Minter up front. You knew that he was fighting for a championship, but were able to make that pass, and in all honesty, never really looked back from that point.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a really strong car all night long. We found something in practice, and it really just clicked. And I knew we may not get the pole for the night. We may not have that short run speed, but on the long run, we was going to have it when it counted. The gear these cars were running, you really had to keep it wound up in the center of the corner. And I watched everybody in practice go down in there, slam on the brakes, and then try and power off. But the gear just wasn't there for it. So I was really focused on just rolling the center, getting back into the throttle with some momentum on my side, and it really, really paid off. So, just gotta thank everybody who helped out tonight, and it was a great win.
Something that we thought was going to be a factor in the championship was the pit strategy here tonight, because when you came down to the pit lane, we also saw championship rival to Al Smith Jr., Tucker Minter, come down and get pits, and the 96 at that point did not. He stayed out. It looked like, and we were talking about it on the broadcast, I think that was the right call to go with that at the midway point. You found yourself in some traffic. What was the calculations on that, and how'd you kind of weigh the options between coming down for 2 tires and coming down for 4, and how much of that strategy was impacted by that yellow basically coming out right at halfway?
Well, I really didn't want to get tires, but I knew if I stayed out there and everybody else had tires, they just blow past me. I mean, the tires didn't really have a huge fall off. You could probably hold steady after a 5 or 10 lap run with the guys who had brand new tires, but I knew if everybody pitted behind me, I was going to be a sitting duck. So we went ahead, got 4, came out. I think we lined up 5th, and just made a smart move there on the start to kind of give about a car length or 2 to the guys ahead and get a move to the inside of the row in front of us, pass them pretty clean and easily. And then we got behind Al on the next restart, and I told Al I wasn't going to bother him. I knew they were running for points. And I told Tucker the same thing earlier in the race. You know, I wasn't here to mess up any point battles or anything. I was just here to get the win. And luckily, we got by Al and never looked back.
It was a successful night in that regard. This Myrtle Beach Speedway is something that we're all going to be seeing a lot of in the coming months here on LSRTV and iRacing Live. Does that make this kind of a win for you guys? Any more significant finding success here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my organization has partnered with Myrtle Beach Speedway to sanction some stuff with them, so I got a lot of close ties there at the Speedway. So anytime I can come out here and kind of represent the Speedway on their racetrack on iRacing, and, you know, it's always good. So hopefully Mike Neff and some of those guys down there at Myrtle Beach Speedway were watching, because this was definitely a good show and really showcased how well of a track iRacing put on here.
It's one of the newest short tracks to the iRacing service, and it put on quite the show for us indeed. In all honesty, though, the excitement was more so between 2nd through 5th, because you put it to these guys. It was a convincing win and a well-deserved one. Kyle, we'll let you get out of here, but first the sponsors, the shout-outs. Anybody else you want to say hi to?
Got to thank CEA, LSRTV, RaceSpot TV, iRacing Live, everybody at Myrtle Beach Speedway. We had the Kyle Busch paint scheme on there tonight, so I guess Reem and Jags and all his sponsors. We had the Kyle Busch paint scheme on there. We kind of had the Kyle Busch show. So I hate that the viewers didn't get really to watch a battle for the lead, but thanks for everybody for watching and everybody for putting this on.
Making it look like the Xfinity Series out there tonight. Kyle Barnes is your winner in the CKF Construction 125. Kyle, always a pleasure chatting with you again. Congratulations, and I know we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
The driver on the flip side of that, not necessarily a nail-biter, 4.7 seconds back, but a great night for Jacob Porter. 20th in practice, very bottom of the speed charts, consistently worked on improving that car coupe as the night went on, qualified 16th, and he was the second fastest driver at the end of the race. Your trackside with our driver who comes home into P2. He had his hands busy for the final 50 laps.
Yeah, and it's really good to see that number 3 car back out there on the track, and I'll say that Jacob, it's nice to see you back on the track, and it's been a while since you've been active on iRacing. I know it had been at least a year since you and I have raced with Kyle, so it was kind of a cool thing to see with you starting next to Kyle in those restarts. But go through us with the coming through the field, because you started in the back, you had an okay qualifying effort, you made through the field, it really saved your stuff, and in the end you held off a very hungry, I would say desperate, but a very hungry driver of the 88 machine.
Yeah, I've been off for about a year and a half now, and just to be, I knew that if I was really slow, if I just took my time and didn't burn the tires up, that I would come out on top, or first, second, third. That's what we were shooting for tonight, and just to do that and to be able to do that is like a win to me.
Yeah, and talk about those last few laps with us there, Jacob, because Jake Watson was hammering you just about every other lap and had absolutely tore the rear bumper off your machine, and you guys both got in the wall, I think, with 2 laps to go, and still gave you a large hit or two, and I was very worried that you would spin out there towards the end and we wouldn't get a chance to talk to you, but you still kept it there. How was that, those last few laps with Watson there?
Well, he was really good in 1 and 2, and I was better in 3 and 4. And I knew that if I backed up my corners in 1 and 2, that he would drive it deep down in there, which he did numerous times. But it was just kind of a waiting game, just to try and keep in front of him, because he, like you said, he is really, really good.
Now go back with us on those restarts. You getting back to the front and being on the front row for the first time for that for those restarts. Did you have at least any thought that you'd have a shot at Kyle there towards the end?
I mean, Kyle was really good all night long, and I knew that he, being a real life race car driver, knew how to roll the center, and especially one that is raced here. And trying to just keep up with him, he watching him, keeping up and staying behind him, it was kind of a learning experience for the both of us. But I mean, like I said, my car was really good on the long run, and I mean, as long as it would turn in the center, it was fine off. So it was just great that way.
Well, we've got to let you go at least at some point. I'd love to talk to you all night, but finishing second here tonight, who makes it happen for you on the number 3 machine?
Well, first and foremost, I've got to thank Blue Ridge Napa. Without them, this wouldn't definitely be possible. CenturyLink, and definitely CEA and that whole organization. Got to give a big shout out to them.
There you have it, driver number 3. His second, despite coming from the back here tonight. And I do believe we'll get a word from Jake Watson, at least at some point. Looks like he's not here right now, here, Evan, but we can at least go on and talk to our championship driver, Al Smith.
Yeah, if we can get a word with the driver who came in third, we will. But how about we talk to the driver who came home at 6th tonight for Myrtle Beach, but most importantly, who finishes at first in the championship standings. Al Smith Jr. is your CKF Construction Super Late Model Series champion. Al, congratulations. That must have been a roller coaster of emotions tonight. You came in with just a little bit of an advantage. 3 points. It helped, but it wasn't a lot. And there were points in this race where you had to start way back at 11th position, fell to 13th early. At that point, you were a handful of points behind. Then we find ourselves with about 25 laps to go. You're ahead and get involved in that self-spin at a turn number 2. So you were just about everywhere tonight. And I know that you have to be relieved that this thing is finally locked up.
Yeah, I can't say enough about all the guys on the Allied Financial Partners, Ford Fusion. We finally got one after 6 years of trying. We finally got a championship in the Upstate Racing League, and I got to give my hats off to Tucker Minter. What a great competitor for the championship, Evan. I don't know what exactly happened. It seemed like towards the end of the race there, he got a little bit of a different like engine damage or something that happened. But yeah, it started up in bad qualifying, and after that it was I was in just kind of protect mode, trying to figure it out and just ride out the first half of the race.
Knowing that, you could still finish this race a couple of spots behind him and still technically win it, while at the same time, bonus points may have been a big thing. I know that getting a bonus point was a big thing for you. You guys stayed out at the halfway point in this race, almost right at the cross flags point. They decided to come down from pit road to basically all of the race leaders, and Tucker was one of those guys that decided to pit. When you stayed out, was that solely a move to get the bonus point, or was the intention, without having a late race spin, to go without getting any tires from the get-go?
At that point, I knew that with Tucker grabbing the pole award for tonight's race, that he was going to at least lead a lap. So I wanted to get back onto a level playing ground, and I could tell when he came in the pits that there was some damage. So I was sitting there, I'm like, well, if I can keep it with a 0x and get that bonus point for having a clean race, it helps tighten it up just a little bit more. Because he's fast. Tucker's been fast all season long, and especially flexed his muscle last week at Martinsville. So I kind of was playing it out, seeing how it was going to go. It was more of a call to stay out, and I got to thank my crew chief, AJ Hamill there. He said, stay out, let's lead the lap, and then hopefully those guys would get like a 20-30 lap run, and then we would come in for our 4 tires. So we were planning on it. If it went green to the end, I was okay too. Just trying to keep everybody that I knew was contender for the championship within at least sight.
Coming up in sixth position tonight, if Minter would have won this race, he would have been high enough in front of you to be able to make up for that difference and get the title. So for him, we presumed that his strategy was he could win this race, you could finish second, and he still would have win. So into tonight, all the 10 had to worry about was finishing as high as he could. You, on the other hand, having the points advantage, could kind of work the points a little bit. Were you really following him as this race went on, or was your concern with just getting the best finish you could get? How much attention were you paying, in the opening laps as it worked down to the end there on where he was?
The opening lap, the only thing I wanted to know was if he had led a lap, because I knew that would automatically take us, if we were side by side, evened up, he would be within 2 points there. So I wanted to know if he had led that first lap. After that, I kind of just ran my own race, trying to get the car to roll to center a little bit. It's a fun track, and the outside actually came in. I made a lot of moves on the outside. But it's one of those tracks where you can't really let your mind wander around too much, or you're going to end up in trouble, which I think a few guys did tonight. But towards the end of the race, I was trying to figure out what was going on with him, because he wasn't quite running the pace that he was earlier, and I wasn't sure if he was trying to protect it or not, the points lead, or protect his car and then we would duke it out or whatnot. But when I caught him there on that last restart, it sounded like he was down on power. So I hate that we couldn't have fought it off on fair terms. But it was a good race overall.
One of the points we made late, kind of talking about the incident that the 10 got into, is, you wonder what this race would have been like if the 10 wasn't involved in an accident. And the problem is, even if we were here for all 7 other weeks, somebody gets involved in an accident in the last race, that's the sole one you focus on. Big picture, you work throughout the entire season, an incident here and an incident there, it all builds up, and at the end of it, you guys are about 5 points better over the course of the season. I know that you make a lot of this stuff happen and put a lot of time into this series, and we've seen you guys find success in these races, and we saw you just a couple of days ago, really, with the CEA guys show some speed as well. So in this series, to not only find that success, but to be able to put it all together, put those good runs together, and get a whole 8-race season out of it, and to finally get a championship in this series that I know that you've put so much time and effort into. What does that mean to you?
It really means a lot. I mean, it's the first time that we've actually dabbled and did a point series for the super late models. So to be the inaugural champion for a super late series is, quite special for me. It's been like I said, a really good season. A lot of just being consistent, like tracks that we ran, not necessarily some of my best tracks, and being able to crawl out of there with a top 5 or a top 10 and not have any damage or trouble. It's it's gratifying. It's very gratifying to take and be able to do that and come out with a championship and have it be a close one. I think it ended up being 5 or 6 points separating myself and Tucker. So, if he wasn't wounded and finished up there, you could be easily talking to him. So, and the competition in the super late models and in our late model ranks is quite tough. And I think we have a pretty good group of guys that we race with week in, week out, and we all shoot for the same goal of having good, clean races. And tonight's race started off a little bit shaky, but at the end there, it was pretty good at the end.
You talk about that group of core guys. There were some names that we haven't seen before or haven't seen in a while on the late model side of things. It was a little bit different seeing you guys in these super late models in due time. We will see you once again in those trademark late models as we approach the 2017-2018 campaign. But I know that if somebody out there wants to get on track, get involved in that series, and get racing here on LSRTV, there's a couple of things they have to do before they can jump on track with you guys come that point. So take this opportunity to talk a little bit about that series that they have to go through to get approval to go into it, and how somebody would get involved in that.
Yeah, and this year it's a great timing. We have our approval series, which will kick off the first weekend or the first week of August. I believe it's August 3rd at the Iowa Speedway. Our trademark kickoff for our Pro Series. So we've sprinkled some of the series tracks that we're going to be going to, and then some tracks that we don't visit on the Pro schedule in there also, just to kind of test and see everybody. But the approval series is going to kick off here, and you can head over to our website. It's upstateracingleague.com. Just got a brand new facelift, so head on over there and check it out and sign up for the approval series. And then sometime in September we will open up registration for our Pro Series to kick off our 7th season, believe it or not, and I think it'll be our 5th season here on LSRTV. So and you race the approval series, you have a chance to win the championship. It all counts. And it gives you an entry fee, a free entry fee into our Pro Series that will kick off in October for the CKF Construction Pro Late Model Series.
We could absolutely not wait for that one. I want to let you take off. I'm being told to ask you one final question, and we saved the hard-hitting questions for last. So the people want to know what your favorite sandwich is.
My favorite, probably peanut butter and jelly.
The solid one. I'll give you that one. Al, congratulations. I know that we talk to guys week in and week out, and they thank you for making this happen. So we want to thank you for making the series happen and inviting us to come check out the super late models tonight. We're excited for the Pro Series coming up. But you get a chance now to give a shout out to some of the people that help make things easier on you.
Well, first of all, I want to be able to thank you guys for the kind of a short notice to make the drive down here to South Carolina and get set up. I know Cisco was out here working on his suntan all day, setting up the cameras. So I want to thank you guys. First of all, I want to thank CKF Construction, Hag TV, Upstate, Racing League, obviously a bunch of core group guys there. AJ Hamill, Justin McDuff, Mike Holtzclaw, Brian Rogers, Cal Frenier, who wasn't with us tonight, and all of our sponsors. Arts Barber Shop up there in Vermont, and Eddie's Meat Market, onpitroad.com, Atomic Sign Works, Core Life Eatery, a new sponsor for us this year. So we got some really good things happening, and so pretty cool stuff that'll be handed out for hardware for our Pro Series. So if you're on the fence about running a short tracks league, give us a chance. Run our approval series that's starting up, and I think you'll like what you get when you come run with us.
That's the man behind the scenes who will now be referred to as the Super Late Model Champion from this point forward, Al Smith. Al, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for making all of this possible. Congratulations, a well-deserved championship. And if this is a sign of things to come, then we'll see what you guys got for the Pro Series. We'll see you then.
All right, thank you guys. Have a good night.
So Al Smith Jr. is your 2017 Super Late Model Champion in the Upstate Racing League, and Coop approving of the sandwich choice.
Yeah, it is a very good choice, and I think it's actually one that I have very often. It's it's a favorite of mine. Not my favorite, but maybe if I become a champion sometime, the folks at home will know. But I don't find that happening anytime soon. But solid choice nonetheless.
I was going to say, I'm not going to ask you till you get a championship, so if you want to run the approval series, you can let them know.
You don't deserve to know unless I win a championship. Or I don't deserve to tell you, I should say.
There you go. We'll go with that one. So, super late models, I love on the service. And, we've seen a lot of the super late models. We're going to see a lot more of the super late models coming up with the championship esports guys. The Cars Tour back in action next week here. They've also got this Myrtle Beach Simulation Series coming up. So, we're going to have short track racing every single week. 2 races a week throughout the fall and the winter and into the spring. So, if you want more information on that, you check it out on our website. Tonight was a great taste of, I think, what is to come, and the Upstate Racing League Pro Late Model Series, which comes up at the end of the year.
Yeah, it's going to be something I'm really looking forward to. We both had a really good. We both saw a really good season last year that came down to the final 2 races, and Justin Fuller was really close and had something that was really similar tonight. Had an issue at the penultimate race, and Something, anything can happen when it comes to racing, even if you're not racing those guys. But the points were really close last year, and I expect the same thing to happen. Great racing with these guys, really good sportsmanship that we see just about every season with these guys, and something that we see with a lot of the short track people on LSRTV.
And if you want more information about this series, again, find them online at upstateracingleague.com. You can also find them on Twitter at Upstate Racing. That's Upstate Racing minus the G. And also at Facebook at facebook.com/Upstate Racing League. If you want more information on LSRTV, including when to find these guys and more short track action coming up next with you on iRacing Live, you can find that information out by going to our website. That's www.livesimracing.com. And if you're with us on the socials, you're not going to miss out on anything either. Twitter, that is at LSRTV. And on Facebook, that is facebook.com/LSRTV official. So until we go racing with Pro Late Models, that does it here for us tonight from the Myrtle Beach Speedway. On behalf of the entire team at Live Sim Racing LLC, for the folks behind the scenes, for DJ Lyon, and for the crew tonight, for myself, Evan Pisoko, for Austin Coop, and our producer, Cisco Scaramuza, I want to thank you for tuning in. Congratulations to Kyle Barnes on a fantastic performance, and a big congratulations as well to Al Smith Jr. on his first Upstate Racing League championship. He is your champion of the 2017 CKF Construction Super Late Model Series. We've got plenty more short track action to come throughout the rest of the year. So as we bid you a good night for the moment, we'll catch you the next time out right here on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. Good night.